What's up, people? What's happening? Welcome to another episode of the Meathead on the Mic podcast. We're going to be diving into this one today, real quick. It is going to be related to my favorite workouts, my top three workouts for building shoulders, 3D shoulders at that, while you're natural. All right. So, if that's something that you're interested in, if you have pretty thin shoulders and you want to be able to grow them, you want to learn what I do for my shoulders, and this is the podcast episode for you. If you want to build up them shoulders, if you want to get wider and add to that V taper, then you might want to bring out a pad and a pen, or just be very, very, very attentive in today's podcast episode. All right, people. When you join, let me know how your day is going. What's good, Alan? Tony, what's good? Mr. Verma, what's happening? All right, let me know how your day is going when you do join. We're going to chill for a little bit, maybe just 2 minutes, and then I'm going to be getting into the podcast. And for those of you that don't already know, when I get into the podcast and when I'm recording, I won't actually be responding to you guys immediately, but that doesn't mean you can't drop questions. Drop as many questions as you want, drop as many comments as you like. At the end, when I'm done recording the podcast episode, then I'll tune in, then we'll talk, and we'll have that back and forth discourse. Yo, what's up, dog? What's up, bro? Hope you're killing it today. All right. So, with that said, with that out the way, we're gonna be diving into the podcast episode very shortly. Apple Juice RK, what's up on YouTube? I see you there, bro. What's good? And I just want to let you know, Apple Juice, if you have any questions, you can drop them down in the comments. But when the podcast is rolling, I won't actually be reading them and I won't be responding to them until after the podcast is recorded. Make sense? Does that make sense to you guys and girls? Cool. Makes sense. Just drop fire, comment down in the comment section. All right. So we're gonna get to the podcast in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Yo, what's good, meatheads? Hope you're having an amazing day, and welcome to another episode of the Meathead on the Mic podcast. It's your host, IFBB Pro Matt Butale, coming at you with another topic. And today we will be talking about 3 secrets to build 3D boulder shoulders. Okay. But before we get into that, I want to let you know that you're welcome to join the Meathead Monsters Club. It's a Facebook community where you get the opportunity to meet other meatheads like yourself. All right. Don't forget to screenshot and share this podcast on your story to show support. Also, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask me, in person, or if you'd like to tune into the live recording and see exclusive behind the scenes footage, you can check me out on YouTube, Matt Vitale, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and LinkedIn. I'm everywhere. All right. So let's dive in. Let's get into this. Let's dive into the meat and potatoes, people. So, 3 secrets for natural 3D shoulders. Okay. I'm going to be giving you my experience as an IFBB pro, what I personally believe is the best for me, what's worked the best for me. Even before I was a professional, before I started competing as a bodybuilder, what I found always worked for me, what my body responded to the best. All right. And again, guys and girls, I'm not going to just sit here and expect your body to, respond the same way, but, you know, this, what I'm about to tell you, has worked not only for myself, but for my clients, right? And if it's worked for them, why wouldn't it work for you? Okay. And again, this is something you can take away, add to your routine, see if it works. If it doesn't work, don't do it. If it works, continue to do it, or you might have to tweak it in some way. Okay. So growing your shoulders naturally isn't as tough as it seems, right? Like most new gym goers can grow, pretty much any muscle group without much effort. Again, keyword new gym goer, newbie gains, things of that sort, right? So like time is the real variable if we're really talking about growing here, right? Whether it's your shoulders, your glutes, your quads, anything, time is the real variable. Okay. So the true challenge is to grow them in a way where all dimensions are popping, specifically your shoulders. Okay. And we're going to sort of dissect and break down what I mean by the dimensions of the shoulders. Okay. In this episode, in this podcast episode, what we'll be sharing is essentially 3 secrets that I've used over the years to help me grow my 3D shoulders and get to where I am now with that taper, with that illusion, with that effect on my upper body, right? Of course, yes, I am a bodybuilder. Of course, yes, I am a professional, but you can still use this and have it benefit your shoulders and make them a little bit more broad without having to be a professional bodybuilder, right? So you can still use these tips. The only difference would be, I would say, probably your intensity and the weight that you're using. Okay. But these movements, these secrets are going to be important across the board, whether or not you're beginning, you're an intermediate, or you're a professional. Okay, so pull out your pad and your pens if this is something that you're interested in learning about. If this is something that you want to incorporate into your physique, broader shoulders, then pay attention. Okay, so number 1, your training approach. There are 3 heads of deltoid muscle group, what I was talking about earlier, that we're that we will be dissecting. Okay, the we'll just say it in simple terms: the front, the middle, and the back. Yes, there are scientific terms for it, but I want this to be digestible for anybody that you know who hasn't even heard about anatomy or anything like that, right? You just want to get this part of your shoulder bigger, that part of your shoulder bigger, and this part of your shoulder bigger, right? So, with that said, there's the front, the middle, and the back, right? So, most people that are developing their bodies and just starting out in the gym, most people they only focus on the front or the middle of the shoulders of the delts. The deltoid is the name, right? But they always forget the rear portion, the back of it, right? That you'd only see if you're looking at your back, right? So essentially, I changed my training approach because I used to be one of those people, to be honest with you, where I would just focus on the front and the middle. And I changed my approach to diversify it so that it allowed me to train and hit all three heads, all three targets of the shoulders with an equal load of volume so that I can get sort of a symmetrical outcome with my entire physique. Does that make sense, guys and girls? Okay. Like, so put it this way: when it comes to being aesthetic, when it comes to having that physique, when it comes to everything tying in together and just looking like really like the V taper, looking symmetrical on left and right, it's almost, yes, genetics, but at the same time, the way you train, your training approach. Okay. If you use a similar weight for the front, the middle, and the back of the shoulders, and a similar amount of reps for the front, the middle, and the back of the shoulders, and we'll say a similar amount of sets for the front, the middle, the back of the shoulders, you are most likely to predispose yourself, put yourself in a position where when your shoulders grow, they will grow symmetrically, right? Because you're not neglecting any part of the shoulder, any head of the shoulder. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, just drop a fire comment down below just so I know that you're listening if you're watching this on the live stream. All right. So that's essentially the core of this. The training approach is to balance out everything. Okay. The front, the middle, and the back for as many reps and sets that I guess I can repeat or keep similar, right? Through all three of those. Okay, because that's what's going to help you develop symmetry, and you need to have that training approach if you want to really get that 3D look where everything pops, from front to middle to back, where if I walk up in front of you, you can see my shoulders popping out the sides because of the middle part of my shoulders, or if I turn to my side, you'll see the front and the back of my shoulders because I don't neglect them and I do the same load that I would on any other part of the three heads, right? So your training approach is crucial here, and that's like the first secret. Okay, and the second secret, guys and girls, okay, is your frequency. Okay, the frequency, the amount of times that you hit the muscle group. All right. So aside from isolating the muscle group, as I said, with the front, the middle, and the back, and again, how do we isolate these? I'm going to tell you in a bit. I'm going to give you the workout in a bit. So just tune in and just stick around because we will be talking about the workout that I do for my shoulders at the end. But I want to give you the intention, the reason why, because there's no point of just telling you to do it if you don't have it in your mind. Because this, what I'm about to tell you for your mind, is going to allow you to get a better mind muscle connection when you actually, hit your shoulders because you know what your intention is. Make sense? So, frequency. Aside from isolating the muscle groups, the front, the middle, and the back, you've got to be able to train your shoulders hard at least 2 times a week. And, I'll say at least maybe in 4 months, depending on where you are. Again, if you're a beginner, you might see results a little bit sooner. If you've been doing this for a couple of years or months, you might not see results as quickly, but you will see results in a matter of time. As I said, time is the number one variable when it comes to growth here. So you got to keep that into account, but making sure that you target everything evenly, that's the correct training approach. And then frequency comes after that. How often are you training your shoulders? Is it once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week? Do you need to rest or do you need to train your shoulders more? Right. So I personally say if you aren't training your shoulders 2 times a week, like isolated, then you should, unless you have pain, unless you're injured, so on and so forth. Right. Like if you can do it, you should do it because the frequency is going to allow your shoulders to grow. They're smaller muscle groups, but they're still pretty much used all the time, just like your bicep and your tricep. Right. So you could get away with training them a little bit more frequently and even a little bit harder when you're doing it a little bit more frequently. Make sense? And again, if you want to see more noticeable changes in a condensed time period, it would just make more sense for you to train it more frequently and a little bit more intense. Again, guys and girls, I don't just train shoulders by itself. I typically pair it with larger muscle groups, as you probably already do. If you're listening to this, if you're a meathead yourself, you probably do like what? Chest and shoulders? I don't know, or legs and shoulders. It's one of those, right? So if you're doing a push pull split, you're already pairing it up, right? But I don't do the traditional push pull. I personally combine my shoulder workouts with my back workouts and my traps workouts. And the reason why I do that, I mean, aside from it just being more comfortable for me, I've found for myself that when I'm targeting my shoulders, specifically after I hit my back, right? And before I hit my traps, I get like a really, really good amount of blood flow on my posterior chain that helps me sort of get that nice pump on my shoulders, in which I can sort of see what I'm doing. It sounds very weird. You won't be able to get to that level where you can like visualize that in the mirror until you've, you know, crossed a certain level of body fat percentage where you're super, super lean, or you're a national level competitor or something like that. So I'm not going to tell you to expect that, but I'm saying, for myself, what works best for me is mixing up my back and my traps on my shoulder days, right? Because I sort of look at them all as like one thing. Like my back is one thing, and it'll connect to my shoulders, well, specifically my rear delts. Okay. Because when you're training back, you're in a way also training your rear delts. And whenever I hit my rear delts on the same day that I do my back, it's just a little bit easier to get that mind muscle connection because it's already sort of like warmed up because I hit my back first. Okay. And then when I hit my, the middle and the front of my shoulders, it's pretty much it's easy at that point, right? Because those two parts haven't really been touched too much because I'm doing a lot of pulling with back, right? And then when I do my traps, it finishes it all up, right? The blood flow from my back all the way up to my shoulders, see it and I can feel it, right? That's for me though. That's what I do. You don't have to do my split. I'm not telling you to, but that's what I do. I mix my shoulders in with my back workouts, and I train my traps, and I do that all 2 times a week at least. Okay. Because if you really want to grow these shoulders, you got to do that 2 times a week. That's frequency. Okay. So the third thing here, all right, you may already have this, you may not have this. I'm going to stress this until I die because fuck ego lifting. Okay. But you do also need to lift a little bit heavier if you want to get stronger and get a little bit bigger. Right. So that's sort of like the dilemma here. You want to lift a little bit heavier, but you don't want to injure yourself because shoulders love to get injured. Okay. So the third thing I want to talk about here, the third secret, and this is a secret that I've been using since since I started lifting, is having a good spotter. Having a good spotter, guys and girls. It's very, very, very easy to injure your shoulders. Like it's one of the easiest fucking things to do. You can injure it doing chest. You can injure it literally almost doing anything. Like shoulders love to get injured. It's like aside from knees, shoulders are the top injured body part on most athletes that I've seen. And correct me if I'm mistaken, right? It's very easy to injure your shoulders. That's why I'd always recommend having a trusted friend, an experienced gym partner, or a coach to assist you in the movements and to make sure that you're actually executing the range of motion correctly while abiding by your biomechanical range of motion. What's biomechanical range of motion? It just means the range of motion that your body allows you to move in, right? So, say for example, you notice somebody's like slightly arched back whenever they're doing shoulder press, and it looks weird that they're doing it that way, but they're super comfortable. They can get their full range of motion doing it that way. And then you do it where your back is pretty much perpendicular to the ground and you feel comfortable that way. It doesn't mean that you should switch to what the other person's doing because it just looks like it's hitting the front more. No, just stick to what you're able to move in terms of how your bones work, how you can press, how you can squeeze. Stick to that, you'll do a lot better, way better than trying to just copy someone else's form because they look a certain way, right? That's how you injure yourself, or that's how you can injure yourself, right? So stick to your own range of motion that your body would allow you to do. And if you are doing the biomechanical range of motion that your body allows you to do, and you still don't really feel it, I urge you to stretch before your workouts. Not directly, but wake up in the morning and stretch, or you can stretch post workout, but really work on opening up your range of motion so that you don't feel so limited whenever you're doing whatever workout when it comes to shoulders or literally any workout at that and that matter. All right. So that's I really wanted to lay that out. Having a great spotter, a good spotter, an experienced person to watch you lift and help you at least when you're pushing a little bit harder than you normally do or heavier than you normally do is very important because safety is like you can't go like if you injure yourself, you're toast. You're better safe than sorry, right? You're better off being proactive than reactive. Stop something from happening as opposed to letting it happen and then sort of dealing with what you've got there, and now you're forced to take rest when you could have just taken the rest day, or now you're forced to take months off the gym when you could have just got a spotter. You know what I mean? So those are the three things. I'm going to recap them real quick. Your training approach, which is to mentally divide the front, the middle, and the back of the shoulders. Make sure that you're isolating them and you're hitting the similar amount of sets and a similar amount of reps for all three heads. Your frequency, train them at least 2 times a week. At least, okay, at least 2 times a week. You want to be hitting them frequently. You can pair them with your other muscle groups. It doesn't really matter. Whatever you feel most comfortable with doing, just do it. Right. But 2 times a week, bare minimum, believe me, they'll start to grow. Right. And when you keep in mind the first or the front, the middle, and the back of the shoulders, that's the whole entire 3D effect right there. And last but not least, we just talked about it, having a good spotter, someone you can trust with weights whenever you want to push up in weight so you can actually grow, right? Because you do need to push a little bit heavier and or a little bit more intense to grow. Okay? That's it. But it's not all. As I said at the beginning of the podcast episode, I will be sharing my little workout, what I like to do for my shoulders. I'm not going to give you my whole entire back workout and all that and traps and all, but just the shoulders, how to actually build the 3D capped shoulders naturally. Okay. So bring out your pad and your pen. If you really wanted this, you're going to get this. I do a triple set. For those of you guys and girls that don't know what a triple set is, it's just 3 workouts back to back to back with like no rest time in between. Once I've finished those 3 workouts all together simultaneously, I might take 30 seconds to 45 seconds to a minute even just to chill out to go back into the set again. Okay, so that's a triple set, doing 3 motions back to back to back, and then taking a break. Back to back to back, and then take a break. Okay, so pad and pen. The 3 movements that I do, and I'm going to explain why I do them and what they target, are right here. So the first one is frontal raises. You can either use dumbbells or you can use a cable attachment for this, the cable pulley attachment, right? If you don't know what that looks like, you can Google it, right? You can Google all the words I'm talking about right now, and you'll be able to see the demonstration on YouTube. So I'm letting you know that. I do 4 sets, 12 reps. Frontal raises, it targets the front of the shoulder. Okay. And then I'll do that right after that. Immediately, I'll go right into lateral raises. So, lateral raises, you're bringing the dumbbells up sideways. You can either do single arm on the cable or you can do it with dumbbells. Okay, you're bringing up the dumbbells sideways and you're contracting. This one's targeting the middle portion of the delt. What actually helps you look 3D when you're looking at me from the front or from the back. The side, how it pops out from the side. The sides of your shoulders come from the lateral raises. And again, 4 sets, 12 reps. You notice that? Notice something here? It's similar. The sets are similar. The reps are similar because I want to develop symmetry. Okay. And last but not least, rear delt flies or face pulls. Okay. Again, you have the option of using dumbbells or cables depending on your biomechanical range of motion, what feels most comfortable for you, where you feel the most squeeze and the mind muscle connection, right? You can switch that up. You can use dumbbells. You can use even an easy curl bar for the rear delt flies. You could use the pec deck for rear delt flies. It's up to you. I personally use dumbbells because I triple set these things and I do it all together. So essentially, I do the frontal raises, 12 reps, lateral raises, 12 reps, rear delt flies, 12 reps, rest. And I'll chill for like maybe a minute, then back into it. And I repeat that 4 times. And that's the main portion of what helps me get that 3D cap shoulder look. Outside of that, I also still do shoulder press, dumbbell military, but that's mainly because I notice with my physique, I have a weak front. We'll say the front of my shoulders are rather weak, right? So I do a little bit more work with the front of my shoulders, but everything else stays the same. And the reason why I do that little bit extra work is just for the symmetry, because I noticed that even when I was doing all 3 things, with an even volume and an even load, the front of my shoulders still weren't picking up, and that's just because genetically the front of my shoulders are weak. So I just had to throw another workout in that I would do before that, which is dumbbell military press, and that's it. Okay, but these 3, what I just labeled out, target each and every single part of your shoulder that you would need in order to develop that 3D look. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you guys and girls? Okay, remember, guys and girls, you want to take some rest in between the triple sets, not in between every single set, but in between the triple set, right? You want to feel like you're burning, right? You really want to feel like you're working the muscle. Don't, sit and get cold too quickly. This one works best when you use it in the triple set format. All right? Thank me later. That's it. That's all. Now it's time for y'all to take action. If you like this episode, share it out with a friend. I hope I was able to deliver a valuable experience to you guys and girls today. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Also, if you want to lose 25 pounds and become a part of the Natural Nomad Academy, shoot me a DM and I'll see if you'll be a good fit. P.S. I won't be monetizing this because I respect your time and I just want you to get the value straight up. All right. Don't forget to screenshot and share this to your Instagram story. It would do a lot for me. I appreciate you all so much. Let's embrace your inner meathead together. All right. It's been nice chatting. Hope you like what today's topic was about. Natural IFBB Pro Matt Butale signing out. Boom. Podcast is done, people. We recorded. What is up? What's up? I'm going to look at some TikTok comments, some Instagram comments, because everyone was pretty much quiet elsewhere. But we don't mind. We don't mind at all. I'm going to chill here for another 2 minutes, and then I'm going to fly out. Hey, bro. Says I'm okay. Alan says, I want to lose weight. I'm a student, and during exams, I didn't move a lot. So the first thing you need to do is start moving, right? So that's your answer there. But the second thing, and I think is a little bit more important, is watching what you're eating, right? So if you're still having trouble with figuring out what you need to eat and all that stuff, and you're completely new to this, shoot me a DM. We'll talk a little bit, and I'll see if I can help you out. What's up, Hassan? Inspirational. Appreciate you, dog. Powen, what's good, bro? My guy. Abija, what's happening? What's up? I appreciate you. Knowledge. Thanks, Hassan. Spam laterals. Let's go. More plates, more dates. Let's go. All right. Faisal, thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you. Homie, I see you guys. Mikey, Matt, Greg, thank you. So Zelo says, with some workouts, I find going heavier makes it harder to isolate the muscle. Absolutely. That's exactly what it is sometimes, right? So if you notice that it's like that, you're not targeting the muscle, or you don't feel like it's like you're squeezing properly or that you're really getting anything done, drop the weight, but increase the reps, right? You don't want to sacrifice intensity. And I realize that, you're probably lifting heavier weights because you want the intensity, right? But if you go back down, you may not get the intensity. So the way to get best of both worlds, bro, is to drop the weight down until, a certain level where you can actually control it, where you can feel like it's working for you, and then increase the reps because that's going to give you the intensity you'll need. All right. Do that for a long enough period of time, and you might build enough strength to, to actually climb up in weight to that weight that's giving you issues. Right. It takes time, man. Growth, the number one variable for growth is time. Remember that. Sandy, my boy, he's like, is a leg extension a good shoulder exercise? This guy's such a troll, man. Love you, guy. Clay, what's good? Powen says, let's get it. What's up? Dropping fire. You know what it is, people. You know what it is. I'm going to look at some TikTok words over here. And does no. So good morning, Dream of Maya. Appreciate you. But people, folks, we'll be back again tomorrow with another live stream episode. Okay. Or whatever you want to call it, a podcast. You guys watch it live. So it's a live stream for you guys, but it'll be uploaded as a podcast very shortly. All right. You know what time it is, people. Hope you guys and girls have the sickest motherfucking Monday of your life. We are out. Boom.